Well, we're talking to Claire Christian the other day about the making of scrubs, and also very much involved in this process. In fact, where it all began, I think, joining us now from UCM is Billee, and you're using all facilities at the university for this. And I believe you've got university students coming in and helping out, and you're doing an amazing amount of work. We've got some pictures in a few minutes to show you what you're doing, but your idea?
Well, yes, basically the community have set up a Sewing for Safety group. And I was approached to make some scrubs for that. And I thought, well, actually, we have the facility and the means to do something on a much larger scale. So I decided to approach our principal and see if we could use UCM and our industrial machinery and also the space, which is wonderful, as long as because we'd be able to work safely if it was very well planned. So it is a little bit of a military operation, getting everything in place and everyone in the right gear, all in our white coats and what have you, and masks and gloves. So it just seemed to be the ideal thing to do, where we could increase capacity, we could pull resources, we could pull skills. I've got lots of contacts, ex-students who are very skilled at using industrial machinery, contacts to buy the fabric. So it all just really fell into place really quite quickly.
I was going to ask you, you've been buying fabric. I mean, that costs money. How are you funding this?
Well, UCM are funding it, but I've got an amazing supplier in London who we've been using for years. It's a company called Joshitex, and they're incredible. They're an Indian family with a huge textile empire, but very personal service. So even if my students order a metre or half a metre or 20 metres, you get the same approach, you know, really incredible people. So when I spoke to Charlie at Joshitex, she said, I'll give you the fabric for £1 a metre, which was incredible. So we've ended up with the most beautiful 100% cotton sateen fabrics in a rainbow of colours, which I'm delighted to offer to our wonderful Manx NHS, and also play into that rainbow theme as well, which was quite accidental actually, but I think it will be a really welcome change for them. And the fabric is so lovely to wear because it's very lightweight. So underneath all the PPE stuff, it will be really quite comfortable for them and easy, you know, it meets all the standards. It meets the standards of high temperature washing, intense pressing, multiple washing, all of that, because I have tested it all myself and put it through those procedures just to make sure they meet with hospital standards.
Have you any idea how many you need to make in total? I mean, presumably once everyone's got one, your job's done, then you have to move on to something else.
Well, we've set a goal of 250. So 250 sets of scrubs is 750 pockets. To give you an example, I haven't quite worked out how many hems, how many seams, how many bindings, but I'm going to do all of that because I think it would be quite an achievement for the team who were working on it. And, you know, it is a lovely project because I've got Callum Harvey, who's quite known locally for lots of work that he's been doing in the industry for theatre and film. And Callum's quite used to organising a workshop that's a production facility because he did a lot of the work for the Spice Girls tour and he worked on their costumes. And he's got a studio based on the Isle of Man. So he's basically moved his studio into UCM to double our resources. So it's been quite incredible, and I couldn't do it without him. He's an incredible young man with, you know, amazing talent. So he's been my absolute right hand the whole way through. We've made it a bit of a community project because our ethos here at UCM is our mission statement is all about being inclusive for learning, and I've tried to keep that. So basically, anyone who's emailed me saying they'd like to be part of it. And a lot of those are colleagues here from UCM, from other departments, who have emailed to say, well, I'm not very good at sewing, but I can do other things. So, of course, this kind of project, there was a mountain of ironing to prepare before we can sew. So everybody's got a job. Everyone's job is as valid as the next. And I'm so proud, actually, of the people who have stepped up and tried to help. And then I put a message on my personal Facebook page just asking if any of my ex-students, graduates, would like to join us. And I've had lots of those. So I've really got the 18 minutes a day hammering in the workroom, hammering away and producing. Last Friday, we dropped off a small batch to Abbotswood, which was our first delivery. And I had a photo through this morning from a neighbour who's a nurse, whose friend was wearing one of them, and took a photo and sent it through to us. So that was really motivating for the team as well. And yeah, I mean, it is an amazing contribution.
Sounds amazing. Is there anything you need, people watching this, anything, you know, someone could donate something to you, anything at all?
Well, we need a lot of irons. So I'm actually asking the ironers, please bring an iron with you. This is, and if you've got an iron board, brilliant, because there's a lot of pressing involved. And tomorrow we'll open another floor because we've got a lot of people coming in to do some of these 750 pockets and pressing up seams and pressing things in between stitching, which helps the production line flow. Also, you know, other people in the community have got a tailor in Castletown who contacted me, Ray Cousins, and he asked if he could do a batch. And Claire Christian offered to do a batch. So both Claire and Ray have been given a dozen or so each, and they've come back beautifully, which, you know, it is lovely as well. So it really is a community effort, and you know, it's fantastic how people step up in times of crisis. I think
if people want to get hold of you, what's the best way to you know, get in touch?
They can contact me through UCM. So all of our secretaries and reception staff are working from home remotely, but they're answering the phones, you know, the usual 648 200 UCM number. They can contact me through that, or they can on the UCM Facebook page, they can contact that, and staff would put them in touch. We have got quite a big team, and what's lovely, people want to help, but they don't know how. So I feel like we've set up this facility that's enabling them to contribute. And I've had a few really heartfelt, beautiful emails from some of the volunteers saying that they feel very useful and privileged and happy to be able to contribute in however small a way. So that's been really lovely.
Well, we wish you well, and please update us if there's anything else we can do for you to get the message out there. But do you see an end in sight? As I was really saying at the beginning, once you've done the scrubs, you know, that's it, isn't it? Unless you find something else you need to do.
Well, we thought we would. I think we're quite limited. This is really quite full on, and you know, I have worked in the fashion industry myself, but before I got into teaching, and Callum, of course, has his extensive experience, but it is challenging, and it is challenging because you're not in a factory setup where everybody knows exactly what they're doing. So for us, in a supervisory capacity, that eats up quite a lot of our time. But in the big picture, it will work quite well. So we're just keen to sit down. We're itching to sit down and get sewing ourselves, which will happen once all the preparatory work is done. It will happen, and they will appear quite quickly. But it's a mammoth job and much bigger than I anticipated. But I'm absolutely honoured and thrilled to be doing it. You know, I really am. Absolutely, it's so worthwhile. And when you get the emails from the volunteers, it's bringing to them as well. And you know, we've built up an amazing team already of people working. We've got a very extensive rota because people have to be complying with the social distancing as much as we can. So we're limited to how many people can be here at any one time, and they have to have this space in between them. So that's been quite challenging. And added to it and probably slowed us down a little bit, but we're absolutely doing our best, and we're working through and doing everything we can to meet our 250 goal, which is great, and our rainbow of Manx scrubs are amazing.